It's been about a year and a half, so.
Welcome to Rosamond and RCSD. I'm one of the directors on the board, and you were here, like he said, probably a year and a half ago. I think he said it's a good turnout, but I think people are wanting to see faces, tired of this Zoom stuff. And when it's not even Zoom, just on the phone. I'm trying to anticipate as I listen to them on the phone what their facial expression is when they say that, because sometimes they're saying something and they're going like that, you know. But it's good to be face to face, and you're about as far east in East Kern as you can go. You know, a little bit further and you step into that limbo called Los Angeles County. Kern County is a much better county to live in than Los Angeles County. Welcome to Rose Community Service District.
Great, thank you. And let's go around the table, or there's a table and then there's other luminaries sitting outside the table. So, but let's start.
Byron Glennon. I came to Rosamond in 1947. I was all of 2 years old at the time, and I really never left, except for when I was in the Navy and when I was going to college. Came back and taught at Rosamond High School for 40 years, and I've been on the Community Service District now for about 18 years.
My name is Sherry Tim. I'm the Director of Administration for the Rosamond Community Services District. Happy to have the East Kern Economic Alliance meet with us today, and hopefully you'll be back again.
Dave Smith, I represent the 412th Test Wing interest down at Plant 42 as the director.
I'm Justin Bunkus, and I'm from Straddle Launch up in Mojave.
And we'll start with Dave, the other Dave.
David Janis, Executive Director for the Channel Lake Alliance, which is the nonprofit that supports the base in the community of Ridgecrest, where 90% of the workforce on the base lives off the base. And so it's the Indian Wells Valley and Ridgecrest.
I'm John Joyce. I publish the Rosamond News.
Cody Criswell, I'm the District Director for Supervisor Philip Peters.
Rex Mullen, I'm with the Flight Test Museum Foundation at Edwards Air Force Base.
Brianna Harding, Community Relations Coordinator at BHE Renewables.
Heather Benish with the Mojave Chamber.
Natalie Willis, Community Representative for Common Sense Consulting.
I'm Mike Walston with Madland Toyota Fort Bliss.
I'm Doug Waterman, I'm with California Manufacturing Technology. We are this best kept secret of local manufacturing.
Hello, I'm Alyssa Harley. I'm with All-Star. I manage incentives for EV charging and hydrogen fueling infrastructure in case anyone's planning to put some in. There's about $36 million going to be available starting next week. So I do have some flyers if anyone's interested.
Hi, Drew Mercy, the Executive Director for Antelope Valley Edge for the Economic Development Corporation for the Antelope Valley region covering North LA County and Southeast Kern.
Good afternoon. Cal Rossi, Southern California Edison, covering Kern and Kings counties.
Hi everyone, Michael Wynn. I'm with AES, formerly S Power, if you guys are familiar with that name. Renewable energy developer.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Ransom. I'm the Business Development Lead for Anacapa Engineering. We're an engineering company that specializes in energy, heavy industrial, and commercial building. Hello, my name is Ashley Cortez. I'm the Senior Account Manager for WM, so I oversee all of Kern County.
Hi, I'm Karen Masterfield. I'm a council member with California City.
Good afternoon, my name is David Halliday with Raw Electric Company.
Kelly Bearden with the Cal State Bakersfield Small Business Development Center.
Susan Wiggins, Tehachapi City Council.
Laura Lynn Wyatt, District Director for Kern County Supervisor Zach Scrivener's office.
Corey Costello, the Assistant City Manager of the City of Tehachapi.
Good afternoon, Jay Lacey, Southern California Edison. I'm with the Economic Development Services team.
Good afternoon, Jim Damian, the new Chief Economic Development Officer for the County of Kern.
Hal Aaron, land developer and construction at Bakersfield and East Kern.
Last but not least,
Joel McGinn, the new chairman of the Roseman Municipal Advisory Council here in Roseman.
Okay, great. Well, we would start off with, since we are in Rosamond, the host community provides the first update. So now you all have to shoot, I guess, draw straws, but the Rosamond update is at the pleasure of the community who would like to present. We can have more than one presentation too.
Well, I guess I'll start. And we would like to we'd like to welcome everybody to Roseman, and it's good to see all of our old friends. We have a full house today, and Roseman, all these things are happening. Right now, though, the Flight Test Museum on Edwards is the biggest news because that'll draw a lot of people here. And Rex is going to really explain about that today, so I'll let him continue on. The water reclamation plant that we've been working on for many years is scheduled to be finished this month. So the next time you come, we'll arrange a tour. It's a state-of-the-art facility for California and maybe even wider. It takes all of our reclaimed water and puts it in the ground, and that allows us then credit to pump that amount out of the ground according to the judgment that we had in 2015. And that's a big plus for Roseman, because without water in the desert, we don't go very far, very fast. The other thing is Kim Domingo, the new manager and director, is going to come later on during the meeting. He had another conflicting meeting to go to. He intended to be here, but he will come and introduce himself. A lot of you don't know him, Kim Domingo. He used to work for Kern County. He's been a very good director of the Roseman Community Services District. I don't know if all of you know that Al Carlson, our longtime resident architect, passed away. Some of you knew him casually, others knew him very well. He was always doing things for the city, for the town. Built many of the buildings, built this building, but he and his wife both have passed away now, and we're sorry that they're gone. The final thing, I guess, is, aren't you going to China? One of the directors spotted up at the water board meeting last night and said, Richard is going to China. And I said, why is he going to China?
My wife booked me on a one-way. No, I not that that's news to me.
Oh,
is that actually on a? You have a recording?
It is. Okay. Director Webb said
okay.
He's going to China. I thought you were expanding and going to make a tangling alliance with China for us.
Well, I'll keep you posted on that. But,
thank you.
And my passport, by the way, expired, so I have to wait 12 weeks to get it renewed. So.
Okay. Well, that's all the Roseman news has.
Any developments here, banks, or any news?
We keep talking about a bank, but Joel, do you have anything to offer, or Byron?
The only other thing that I can think of is November 7th to the 12th, RMAC, the school board, and the chamber, we're going to be hosting the Vietnam Memorial Wall here at West Park. So if you get a chance to be here for 5 days, it's going to be set up. It's a replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, so it'll be fantastic. We'll get a lot of people out to come out and check that out.
Well, one of the facts I always tell people is it still true that the price of a home in Rosamond is actually higher than Bakersfield? Higher, $380,000.
I
Yeah.
could find you a place for less than that.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you.
You know, one other quick thing, real quick, I can still Rex's thunder here. I grew up out here, I lived on the base for 20 years, did the VIP tour yesterday. I learned saw stuff that I've never seen in all the years of living out here. So if you get a chance to do that tour, it's a fantastic tour, and I learned a lot. So.
And we'll have
add one more thing, and I'll actually refer to our administrative lady. We're going to be honoring in August at our regular meeting for the RCSD, Steve Perez for his service as a sheriff, deputy sheriff, as an electrician in the community out at Morax. He did some work out there. As a supervisor in Bakersfield, and as a general manager here. You want to
Yes.
invite them all?
So it is somewhat of a surprise, so if you know him or you
Oh.
speak to him.
It's a
don't
surprise.
tell him. We're hoping anyways. So at our regular board meeting, Wednesday, August 9th, 6 p.m. And we're hoping to have representation from the county, from Kern County, from Tom Lackey's office, and Shannon office as well.
Great, thank you.
He has moved to Idaho.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. And we'll have under the member comments, we can talk about the Flight Test Museum and obviously all the companies represented here, as well as Dave Smith too, would like to find out what's happening in your neck of the woods. So stay tuned for that. So great turnout. I heard at Tehachapi we had a great crowd as well. So many of you this is your first meeting, and we started this alliance back in 2009. So it's very exciting now. We have government, we have educators, and we have businesses. I mean, that's the goal, right, in economic development, having those partners around the table. So a couple things. Our market overview just came out. I have copies in the back. And so we publish this once a year. It's also a member directory. We have a digital online version, so if there are any changes, we can make those pretty quickly. A couple of years ago, we won an International EDC Award for Best Silver Award. Buffalo beat us, but Best a Promotional Magazine. So really like telling the story, and obviously East Kern too is so important. So we have copies there that'll be available. Also, we have a new series called Where Business is Boundless, and our first 2 episodes are about to drop. Talking to Justin about Strata launches in episode 2. We filmed out there about a month or so ago. First episodes with Tim Reed, the manager of the general manager of the Mojave Air and Spaceport, and then the second is Strata launch. So it's a 5-minute episodes. We're covering all the major industry sectors: aerospace, defense, energy, manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, value-added ag, and actually. Episode 3 is looking to do Triassic Vineyards. So if you haven't been out there, amazing wine in the Cummings Valley. So we're excited to be able to push that out. Again, it's both talent attraction, retention, right? We're talking to China Lake about an episode or 2 out there. So we want to make sure that obviously throughout the county, the stories of businesses and other types of enterprises are showcased. We have the Energy Summit coming up. Obviously here we have a lot of energy people around the table mark your calendars, November 15th. It's the 17th annual. It is in Bakersfield at the Marriott. So hopefully you can attend that. It's a half-day event, and of course a lot of the energy stories are about what's happening in East Kern. Everything from, and we'll hear today, I know we have a couple we have VHE, Berkshire Hathaway, we have AES, as well as, let's see what, I know you talking about the HydroStore project, which is down the road, $2 billion project. So a lot happening in East Kern right now. And we're working now on just putting together speakers as well. Lorelei Oviatt will be the first speaker. Does an amazing job talking about our energy economy, diversity and vitality. So stay tuned for that. And then We have our annual dinner on September 14th. Well, it used to be in June. John, remember when it was like 114 degrees, right?
You're going to make it cooler this year.
Yeah, I promise it'll be under 90. Relatively near where we had it before, but it is in Bakersfield. I'll pass around that flyer as well. So hope to see you there. Basically a celebration. Our organization, coming out of COVID, actually grew membership, number of projects, we're about 50 a year. And guess what? Most of the about half the projects now are in East Kern. I mean, it's been amazing to see, and a lot of manufacturing type endeavors. So it's exciting to be out here on an ongoing basis, and a lot of employers are looking to locate in East Kern. So more to come on that. And colleague, partner in crime, Drew Mercy with Ekedc.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having us here, and thank you for hosting. Things at Ekedc are going well. As I said earlier, we cover Lancaster, Palmdale, North LA County, and Southeast Kern from Tehachapi up through Ridgecrest. We had our installation recently. Our new board president is Martin Tompkins with Antelope Valley Transit Authority. And we've got the next few months going to be pretty busy for us. We met earlier this week. We're relaunching our aerospace committee, AeroCom. So invite anyone who'd like to participate with us in that. Big focus on that is workforce development. We've got co-chairs, Troy Gabbard from Lockheed and Kate Squires with Stratolaunch. So we really want to make sure that we're servicing and assisting both aerospace hubs in both counties. Event-wise, our next event is coming up August 17th. It's our town hall with Southern California Edison and our development community. Help them. We really thank Edison for hosting that and meeting with our builders and developers to help them through the process and the challenges that exist right now. Following that, the next month, we don't have a date yet, but in late September, we're looking at our broker mixer, and that's going to be actually hosted with the cities of Lancaster and Palmdale, highlighting some of the new industrial sites that are coming online and properties that are available, and introducing and having that for our commercial and industrial broker community. And with that one is focused on the LA County side. We would love to participate with any of your communities on events like that. If we can help, we want to do that. After that, October 20th is our next kind of big event, and that's our fall forum, focusing on aerospace, workforce development, and energy. So we'll be having some more information coming out on that, but that's going to be October 20th at the Lancaster Performing Arts Center. With that, I do want to add one of our ongoing projects is partnering with the Flight Test Historical Foundation on the museum project that's key to ours on both aerospace tourism, workforce development, education. I don't want to take any of Rex's thunder. I just want to build you up so that you get nervous. Let me see. I think with that, I just want to offer up to any of your communities, if you need support for projects or grants, anything related to economic development, workforce, regional tourism, please don't hesitate to call us. We want to help and do what we can to assist. We've got a new brochure out, so for those of you that may be less familiar with us, I'll go ahead and pass these around, and along with my business cards.
And you don't want to overlook that Drew Mercy was appointed to the AVEC Division 1 seat.
Yes, that's true too. So yeah, one of my other hats, I'm now on the Antelope Valley East Kern Water Agency.
Now, is he also going to China? That was at China Lake. We're filming there.
That's probably what
yeah.
So thanks, Drew. And yeah, also I know that superintendent of schools, sometimes they come Kern County to the meeting, but they are going to have their career expo, which you may remember, I think in March. It was at the Stewart Center, Mojave, and so they will have, my understanding is they have one in October as well in Mojave. So obviously it's the East Kern Career Expo. So stay fresh back from, do people know you had surgery?
They do now.
Okay. Okay.
There's our HIPAA violation.
Yeah, right.
Great in China.
Well, I definitely recommend it for total hip replacement. So, but it is great to be back because I am back in the office finally after about 10%. Missed the last meeting, but a lot of things that are going on at the SBDC are on a regional basis, and you really think that a lot of your businesses throughout East Kern you do know about. We have a couple of, we serve only Kern County, Kern, Inyo, and Mono counties. So with these programs, a few of them that are going on right now online, we have it's really still a lot of battered restaurants, a lot of the mom and pops that are having a hard time getting back. And we have a on-demand training because if you're a chef owner in a restaurant, you don't have much time to actually sit and attend the training class. So a lot of the resources now are available on demand, an 18-hour training class. So that is going on, and also we have a program that we're going to be doing again later this year that's going to be related to assisting individuals who want to start a home child care business. Now, during the pandemic, what we saw, not only locally and regionally, but nationally, was a ton of child care workers that left that industry and has left an acute shortage. I'm sure everybody in this room knows somebody who has had an issue with child care since the beginning. So what we have been doing is we've been working with a group that has been providing a training, and they provide training and they also help find grants, and it's to really make sustainable home child care businesses. So there's a lot of training. They can make a living wage and actually make pretty well with just 6 kids at home. So for a lot of people, it's making a lot of sense. We had a number of people who kind of went through this regional training. It was outstanding. Worked with them on trying to get some funding to get up and going. So that is going to be starting up later this fall, or actually even late summer, maybe potentially in early part of September. Also, as far as, since we're on the training vein right now, in the past we've done a lot with our capital summits. I think the SBDC is kind of one of the best resources out there for access to capital for small businesses. And in the past, we have had an East Kern Capital Summit prior to the pandemic, but we hope to bring that back later this year and have one in East Kern, in addition to having one where we have other parts of our region. We do have consultants that can meet with small businesses. Still, we have about 50 consultants that are working out here with businesses in East Kern. They can access clients by Zoom, by phone, text, and of course email are popular still coming out of the pandemic, but solve a lot of the business issues and potential problems they have. So thank you. It's great to be back.
Okay. And did you mention your Wednesday webinars?
I thought I'd give a break on that.
Okay.
You know,
how many have you had since?
Next week will be number 284. 280.
Are you going to stop at a certain point?
We're going to stop when people quit showing up. Like McDonald's, you know, they will quit when people quit buying their hamburgers.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, next, Kern County. Jim Damian, many of you know him. We're really excited to work with him. He has created jobs. He is an economic developer, right? An entrepreneur and visionary, just in terms of coming from the private sector and working and partnering. And Jim, I'll give you the floor.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Yeah, my first day on the job is July 31st, so I showed up a little early. Richard said I could come have lunch, so that's what I'm here for. But it's good to be with you again. My name is Jim Damian. I live in Bakersfield. I'm from Tehachapi, so I feel like I'm home in East Kern County. I started my career as a child welfare social worker in Alameda. Worked for the government for 5 years, and then decided the best social program that I could come up with would be to create jobs. So I spent about 18 years running a technology company. We sold that in August of last year and wanted to get back into public service, and knew I probably couldn't win an election. So, kind of put my name out there and got tapped as the inaugural Chief Economic Development Officer for the County of Kern. I wanted to introduce myself, make myself available as a resource, trying to figure out where we can fit in. You all have been doing this kind of work around the table for a lot longer than I have, obviously, as an economic development person who hasn't even started yet. 10 more days, 20 more days. So anyway, it's good to be with you. I'm looking forward to helping the initiatives here, and I kind of am charged with three things. One, help businesses come to Kern County, help businesses who are already here thrive in Kern County, and maybe on day 3, try and help the county government think a little bit more like private enterprise. So that should at least be 1 or 2 weeks worth of work. So anyway, I'm here, I'm around. Once I have an email address, I'll share it with y'all, but sure look forward to working with y'all and getting to know y'all. So good to be with you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Richard.
And we, our EDC partnered with Corps on setting up the current initiative for town entrepreneurship, KITE, and so Jim was instrumental as when that organization and that entity got up and running. Obviously, you want entrepreneurs involved with the KITE initiative. So I look forward to continue to work with Jim. And we'll be meeting every other month. Next meeting, by the way, is in Mojave. So, we also have Cody, who some of you may or may not know as in terms of district director.
Yeah, so I'm new as well to the first district of Kern County and just getting started in the last month. And so here to make my introduction and make myself available to you as well. But I'll say this, that if bringing Mr. Damien on isn't a sign and a show that Kern County is serious about this, then I don't know what is, right? So we're going to work together and create those jobs, and we're going to try to speed up government somehow, some way, and working together, collaborating with you all. So thank you for having us here, and if there's anything that we can make ourselves available to do, please let us know. Thank you.
And you are Chriswell CO.
Chriswell CO, yeah. So I got a little background in public works, and so at that time I was Chriswell C, and because of how government works, I couldn't keep that email address, and they had to add a no to it.
Okay. Okay, well, that's why you didn't get the thank you. And then Laura Lynn, District 2.
Good afternoon, everybody. I feel your pain. When I first started in the county, I wanted Wyatt LL, and they said no. So I'm Wyatt L at county.com.
Got to change an ordinance if you want that.
I guess they put my first and middle name into all one word for some reason. But hi everybody, Laura Lynn Wyatt, once again, District Director for Kern County Supervisor Zach Scribner's Office, District 2. I've got quite a few updates for you today, so I'm going to try to talk fast so I don't overuse my time. Just as I was walking in the door, very specifically to Rosamond, I was advised that the skate park design has been completed and submitted for plan approval. So that's very exciting. That it will be located commonly known as Glendower Park, but it's also the Rosamond Park on Glendower, over by the elementary school. Will be the location of that skate park, so we're very excited to get that going and move some dirt. So speaking of moving dirt, I get a lot of questions. Why isn't the Mojave Inland Port doing anything? Why don't we see tractors out there? So Pioneer Partners is a corporation out of Texas that's running that project. It is not a county project, although they stay in direct communications with us. They are being tasked by the county planning department to do some infrastructure improvements to some of the traffic issues. As you know, rail traffic is expected to increase when that port is completed. And we've got a couple of intersections, one here in Rosamond at Sierra Highway, the other on Business 58 through Mojave, where increased rail traffic is going to have a direct impact on the traffic patterns. Pioneer Partners went to Sacramento because the state had a lot of transportation grants that were available. They applied and they were denied all of them. So how Pioneer Partners is going to move forward, when they're going to move forward is all up in the air right now. So tentatively, the port is kind of on hold, I guess, if you will.
Why the rationale for being denied?
I do not. It'll be an interesting question for the governor. Call him up, Richard. Call him up. So Measure K, Jim, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but were you going to talk about Measure K or no? Okay. Okay. So as you all know, in November, Measure K sales tax increase did pass. Second half of the fiscal year, last year, the county brought in about $13 million through extra tax revenue. They are guessing and estimating it's going to be about 57 million for a full fiscal year. That is about public service and safety. That's where that money is going to go. That's where it's focused on. So they just approved a 22% salary increase for detention deputies. By law, the sheriff is required to staff the jails before they put extra patrol on the roads. And this is a big economic development issue specifically for Eastern Kern, because we have a lot of businesses that struggle with petty theft, vandalism, things like that. So it's a high priority for them to get more deputies on the streets doing road patrol. So there's an end in sight, but it's not instant. Well, even if we hire a deputy right now, they're going to have to go into the jail because the jail is not 100% staffed. So that increase, the thought behind that increase was let's get these people hired. Let's attract them so we can fill the jail, get the people out that want to be on road patrol and patrolling the streets of our neighborhoods. So it just takes some time. You hire a new deputy, they've got to go through background investigation, they have to go through the academy. You don't hire a deputy and they're on the street the following week. It just doesn't work. The last thing I wanted to touch on quickly, there's two things. The Rosamond swimming pool, the community swimming pool. There will be activity at that pool this weekend. It is not open to the public. The activity that you will see are Red Cross certifications and training going on. These are Red Cross employees and hopefully future employees of the county to have your lifeguards. If that pool is to remain open 7 days a week, they need a minimum of 15 lifeguards. They did get 30 applications. By the time the applicants figured out what the Red Cross requires as far as rigorous training and online classes, that turned into about 15. And if they all pass, then that's the goal. But right now, those certifications and training, you'll see that activity going on at the pool this weekend. Last quickly thing I wanted to touch on is the Mojave Transit Center that has been delayed. The state of California is requiring government to switch to electric buses. And that happened after the plan was approved and submitted. So we had to go back to the drawing board and resubmit everything to include charging stations for electric buses. Once that plan is finished, it has to go to Edison. So Cal, Rossi, and I are going to be working closely together to try to expedite that plan approval as much as we can. But that's why you kind of see that project sitting there dormant. We're waiting on plan approval. So that's really all I had for today, unless anybody has questions. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, just going to know one of our programs is a set aside for transit for that should be watching videos.
Okay, I can put you in touch with the CAO's office, and that's definitely a conversation that we should have.
I believe they need their ICT file, but there will be more coming out next week.
Okay, so let's talk. Yeah. Yeah.
Marlon,
Yes.
the multiple courthouse locations, consolidate, any
Yeah.
news on that?
Yes, so the judge listened to the communities. He did recommend that the Ridgecrest Courthouse remain open, and he did recommend that a new courthouse be built. He did not remove the word Tehachapi off of that location with his recommendation, so it still says Mojave/Tehachapi. We're not really sure why. That's not necessarily the direction Supervisor Scribner wanted that to go. He wanted it to be specifically Mojave for the service of Eastern Kern.
Or the city of Tehachapi for that matter, too.
Yes.
We didn't want to either.
It's not your time.
Just to back you up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So it's gone to the state, so we're waiting for that. And then, as you all probably read in the news, Ryan Alsop is leaving the county after about 7 years as the CAO. He took a job up in Napa County. So the board has moved Jim Service into that position. And we have Jim.
Well,
Any other
can I
questions? Yeah.
ask a follow-up on the court issue? I
Yeah.
haven't seen the information as to whether that recommendation was given to the commission, the
Correct.
judicial commission. I
Correct.
haven't heard that they actually met and made a decision. Has that happened?
No.
So
Not
that,
to my
they were
knowledge.
supposed to meet at the end of the month tentatively.
Mhm.
Do they have a new scheduled date to finalize
Not-
this?
I don't believe so. If they do, we have not been informed of.
Yeah, the rest of that piece is, they were also going to recommend that they go back and add Ridgecrest on later, but they were going to
Yes,
change that.
and your
as
city
part of
manager
it.
is
Ron
very
Smith.
involved in doing a great job staying up on that for you
Yeah,
guys.
we had the
Yeah.
entire community mobilized, well, we all did. If you went to any one of those 3 hearings in Bakersfield, or Ridgecrest, or I guess Mojave.
Yes.
And not Tehachapi, all 3 cities were united. It was great to see East Kern stand up and say, wait, bullshit flag, which it was.
Well, and it wasn't easy. We found out about 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon about a Friday meeting, so we had to act quickly. Mojave Chamber, thank you. They took the reins and rallied the troops for us to get to that Mojave meeting, and a lot of representatives, Joel was there with RMAC, a lot of representatives from this area were in attendance. So I think the judge heard us. Now we're going to find out if the state's going to take his recommendation.
Yeah, big attaboy, by the way. Both of our supervisors and the whole supervisory board testified. Cindy Zimmer, our sheriff, everybody from the county backed East Kern up on this. And that's why it got, and all the people came out at every meeting and dominated respectfully to the judge and had him, the new judge that took over the old one's position that pulled this shenanigan, and had him reeling, I think, but he was very respectful in handling it, and attaboys to everybody in East Kern. Well done. And you guys in organizing the supervisors overall. So on behalf of Ridgecrest, thanks. And thanks all of East Kern.
Yeah, everybody really showed up. They were successful meetings, very powerful meetings. Any other questions or? Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, Tehachapi.
Now it's your turn.
Trying to back you up. Last time I supported you. Yeah, again, Corey Costello, Assistant City Manager, City of Tehachapi. A couple things to get to today. Laura Lynn actually mentioned law enforcement. Our new police chief actually started about 2 weeks ago now. Chief Richard Standridge, we got him from the City of Bishop. He was there for 2 years. Prior to that, he was with the City of Porterville as a lieutenant. All of you know, started his career there basically. So anyway, very happy to have him on board. He's hit the ground running. Perfect fit for our community, and very involved, very engaged. Got a lot of great things planned, so it's going to really help continue to protect the investments of our business owners, and really excited about his addition to our team. So we ended the fiscal year, and so I decided to go and take a look as I have to reevaluate, prepare our new goals for many of the departments that I'm ahead of, including economic development. And I said, I want to go back and use some of our artificial intelligence tools to find out how we did retail leakage-wise last year compared to the year before, the fiscal year before. So I was excited at first because I saw in 22-23, the fiscal year, like we reduced our retail leakage from about 58% the year prior to 49%. I'm like, great, that's like a 9% reduction. And then when you really dive into statistics, you find there was a 10% reduction in supply because of the supply chain issues we had. So it was basically a wash. So we're still working on it, but I shared some of that data. And recently, I know Drew was there. I was at the Calvin conference, and Drew was there. And of course, we had several good sessions, but one of them came from Chris Thornburg of Beacon Economics, and he kind of described the economy. He really talked to what he was referring to as narrative economics, and how we listen to what people say about the economy. We take that to heart because that's like the popular message. And one of those is about this recession we keep hearing about. And he had a great analogy. He called it the Godot recession, because in waiting for Godot, they just stand around and Godot never shows. Well, that's what's happening right now with the recession, quote unquote, because we actually have plenty of money in the bank, more money in the bank than we had pre-COVID, 3 times the amount. It's like $3 trillion now, it wasn't 1. And so money's still being spent despite inflation and things like that. So we're seeing that sort of apply now in the economy in Tehachapi. This week alone, I've done nothing but real estate phone calls. All week long has been real estate. It has been local businesses wanting to expand, new businesses opening up. I want to change my location to here. It's a better spot. We've got major commercial purchases happening, and it's crazy. All week long, I've done nothing but commercial real estate. A couple of those new businesses are the One Fine Day in Tehachapi Cafe, which is actually right by the Village Co. studio that we met at previously. It's right there by the Tehachapi restaurant. The Four Seasons Cafe. His wife's family is the Tehachapi family, and then he's opened this cafe. It is wildly popular. It's not very big. It's coffee, smoothies, a small limited menu, but great eclectic decorations inside, and the place is full. It's really cool. So that's taken off. And then another one that just took over a sandwich shop that had failed pretty quickly. This is it's over by our Albertsons. It's the Two Brothers from Italy Pizza and Subs. It's their 7th location. So they started, and they still have about 5 locations in the northern San Diego area, North County, San Diego, Vista. They have one in Big Pine on the way to Mammoth, and they've recently moved to Tehachapi, and so they opened this location as well. So their family started, the original Two Brothers from Italy came over from Sicily and started their first shop in Huntington Beach in 1972. And so now the kids are in charge of this. So we've got 2 families, kind of one building a legacy in Tehachapi and one building on their legacy in Tehachapi. So it's been really cool to see that. One of the big sort of time eaters for me this week has been our former Kmart building is an escrow. It's been bought, sold a few times. Anyway, this buyer is really pushing for retail reuse, so I've been doing a lot of assistance with that this week, sharing a lot of our AI data with the conversations of potential tenants, and it's promising though, so we're looking forward to that and cut into some of that retail leakage. Our farmers market is ongoing. It's been very well attended. I actually ran some attendance numbers the other day, and it's twice as busy as it was last year. We got about 800 customers a week. This year it's around the 1,500. So it's double. It's crazy, and we've seen that. You know, we can see with our eyes, but now we have the data to back it up. So it's very cool. That was just the month of June. That didn't count the one market we've had so far in July. Our Chamber of Commerce is they are adding some staffing, and that's to help sort of some initiatives, at least even with the city standpoint. You know, we have a lot of the recruitment job and some of the regulatory part when it comes to small business, large business, everything. But we really rely on the chamber to do that promotion piece, that retention, that compliance portion and stuff with regulations and different business types. So we're working with them a little bit. They have added some staff, but our chamber is small. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of funding, and they spend a lot of time trying to get that money. We want them to actually do stuff, like be not worry about paying the bills. So we're going to be taking to our council on Monday an additional budget allocation for the Tehachapi Chamber of Commerce to basically fund their part-time position that they've hired, so they can work on assisting and not necessarily trying to pay the bills. So excited about that. And also with that, Mountain Festival is coming up in a couple weeks, 3rd weekend in August, as always. And we've added with the Chamber of Commerce and our brewery industry, we've added a concert. It'll be on Saturday night, August 19th on Green Street, where we have our farmers market. It's going to be under the lights of green, and we've got 3 bands from 6 to 10, and it's with the West Lane Breweries involved, a local craft beer, the Chamber of Commerce, and the city have all partnered on this event. So we're excited to bring in these groups. One of the groups, Three Bad Jacks, is actually on a national tour right now, and they're fitting Tehachapi after they play in like Phoenix or something. So it's kind of cool to have that addition to that as well. On the project front, we are going to be opening bids soon for our Valley Park project, which was part of the Clean California Grant Cycle 1. And that includes it's a neighborhood community park, but we have included a 5-a-side soccer facility. So think hockey, but with soccer ball. It's lights, nets, all that good stuff. That will go to bid, or the bids will be open in about the next couple of weeks. And we'll go to construction on that. We've got a big repave project as well. And then on the Highway 58 front, the city was very vocal and helping and working with KernCog as well to push the funding to move up the funding, and State Senator Shannon Grove was a champion as well to get Caltrans to push up the funding for the Highway 58 climbing lanes. So many of you that came from Bakersfield on the way up here thought, what the hell's going on? This truck's going 29, this one's going 30, and they're drag racing. And they just pull out in front of you because their time's more important than yours, and so they just pull in front. So that has been moved up quite a bit, and that will include, I think, the right-of-way acquisitions are pretty much starting now. We'll go into 24, and pre-construction and that sort of thing, 25, and then there'll also be a big repave as well. So, I mean, just don't drive for the next, like, from 24 to 27, just don't drive 58. Because it's sitting on, yeah, take Tashby Woodford Road or something, because it's gonna be pretty torn up. But it will be a much needed project. That's one of 3 phases eventually for truck climbing lanes. This is the easiest phase and the slowest phase, and so that'll be funding. But our former mayor, Phil Smith, he's been on the COG for years. He was vocal, our city engineer, our city manager, and Senator Grove really pulled all the players together to get Caltrans in the room to talk about the importance of this project and moving it up. So, because it matters commerce-wise for East Kern and then out to Las Vegas and to Barstow and then on from there. So it's an important route. And then finally, we put the episode out today, but our podcast, A Hatchapod, we always have our weekly entertainment update. I know it's going to be hot this weekend. It's going to be hot in Tashby, but not hot as like here or most East Kern or even in the valley. So there's a ton to do this weekend, and I've been telling everybody, we've got the breweries, the wineries. It's going to be cooler in Tashby. Just come in the shade, drink some wine. Don't insert yourself. So we've got that going on. All that information is on our latest podcast. So, questions? All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Ridgecrest.
Looks like
You're the ambassador.
I didn't know I was going to be, but
Okay.
it doesn't surprise me because the mayor earlier this week was hard down in bed with the results of a weekend warrior injury and 4 little kids. And I know the staff and Ron Strand, the city manager, were totally underwater after some events. The 4th of July holiday, and we had a lot of things going on in Sacramento, legislation regarding water issues. That is the #1 critical issue for us, as most of you are aware. We don't have any outside water, and the groundwater is going down 1.5 feet a year in the valley. So I know Supervisor Peters was up in Sacramento a couple days this week testifying. Some of our city councilmen and staff were up there. So they're out of pocket. I imagine that's why they're not here, because normally if that happens, they ask me to and give me a fill-in about what's going on. But fortunately, I'm fairly well up to speed, so I do have some information for you that I think will be interesting. #1, we're one of the last communities, especially on this side of the mountain, that has a live fireworks show, and we had it on the 4th or on the 1st. We do it on Saturday night, so all the kids and everybody's available to come, and it was outstanding. It's a top class show, and it was well attended out at the fairgrounds. Came off, and the planning is for next year. And of course, the city had taken that over. That had always been the Lions Club that raised all the money for that each year, and all of our service clubs are aging. Some of them have aged out, and I think most of our communities are experiencing this. There's not group-type volunteers as much in the younger generations. They tend to be individual volunteers to support it. So the city, with some of the remaining groups that are still around, actually helped put that on and fund it. Economically, we've got a lot of stuff going on. It's very positive. I couldn't remember listing all of them, but one obvious one is we've got another Marriott affiliate, Town Place Suites, going up. We've now got, and we've got another, after that, we've got another non-Marriott affiliate, but it's a long-term stay hotel. We have currently over 1,100 rooms available for any night, and that's a lot for a small town, less than 30,000. Of course, most of that is the base outside visitors doing testing and those kinds of things, and research and development. And we have an increase, it looks like it's going to pass, the increase of the occupancy tax that residents of the hotel pay, and that supports tourism. And the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Tourism Bureau. And we have the California Welcome Center. That has been a wild success. We put it in. We weren't sure, but it's been very successful. One thing that we stuck on, when you've heard the mayor come in here and talk about it, is the Night on Madison, which is our downtown district. We started slow. The first 2 have been held, and they've each been a wild success. Expanded to twice the size and more than twice the crowd on the second one. We've got the third one coming up on August 18th. And for those of you that have heard our vociferous and energetic mayor talk about it, unfortunately, it's in the middle of Carmageddon, which is what he calls the repaving of our main street in town. It's north-south China Lake Boulevard, 4 lanes wide, well, 5 lanes wide. It's being totally, all the infrastructure under the city is, the pipes and the sewage and everything else is being repaired and repaved. And at that time, it's probably going to be down there where they're going to have to route them through Balsam Street at the time we would have held this. And so we've rescheduled. We're not going to quit on it because we've got some momentum, great momentum, and the community loves it. So they're moving it to the in front of City Hall and the park that surrounds it. You're going to have a live band, beer, wine, games. I mean, it's been a great success with families, kids, all the way up to, the young adults that stay out later kind of crowd. So, and it's very family friendly, yet has the mixture of what those young professionals that we're trying to attract and retain in the community like. So that's a good success. The community college just broke ground on something they've worked on for more than a decade. The multi-sport complex up there that required a lot of state grants and a lot of work to do. It's probably going to be done in 2025, and that's going to have visiting team locker rooms, stands, refreshment stands. It's going to be a classy college standard, which will be a first out in our town. At the same time, we've got a brand new school district superintendent, the Sierra Sands Unified School District. Dr. April Moore came on to replace Dr. Dave Oshtash, who went over to the Bakersfield area to head a school district. I'm not sure which one over there, you may know. But she's on board. I gave her community in brief because she's from outside the community yesterday, and a wonderful lady. I think she'll be very good for the kids. I mentioned we did have our legislators and city managers up, or city employees, as well as Supervisor Peter up in Sacramento, testifying on 4 different bills, 2 that were going to hurt us and 2 that we needed passed, and that was very successful. The water district, you may know, I think it was briefed in here, our major east-west pipeline in town from our wells that serves the rest of the southeast of town is a 30-inch pipeline that was supposed to have a 30-some-year life, and it's about 5 years into that, and it failed. And it looks like, but we can't prove it, that it was delayed damage from the earthquake. And that's a whole long story about why the engineering makes sense that that's what it is, but because of the timing, it doesn't qualify for any of the federal grants to replace it, but it's critical for the base. So we're asking for some other grants that we think fit it. A lot of us are working heavily on that, and that's going to be a $13 million tab on top of the interconnect that we're working on, which is about $177 million, and that's the tie-in to Ekedc down here, which the interconnect would be at Cal City. So we've got some fiscal, the city is doing great, the base is doing great, but boy, we have some fiscal challenges, and we've been successful with every grant on the waterfront for the last 5 years that we've gone after, and we're setting up many more. One of them is a new program in the California legislature that we help support through the China Lake Alliance, the California Defense Communities Infrastructure Program. Florida, Texas, and Virginia all have those, and they've been successful in getting federal Defense Community Infrastructure Program grants to do infrastructure related to the base and the military value of the base, but in the communities. And so we got that program into the federal in 2018. Now we're trying to do the same thing at the state level, and it's a 2-year bill. It has made it all the way through the House and through the Assembly, 74-0. Last year, it never got out of a committee, but this year we joined the coalition, rewrote the bill, and really formed a coalition statewide through the California Defense Communities Alliance, and it looks like it's going to go. So right now it's in the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, and then it will go to the Senate floor when they come out of recess, and all the crystal ball says it's going to pass, and then next year will be our fight in the second year of the legislative calendar to get it appropriated. And we had that same fight in the federal. It took us a couple years to get it appropriated. But these are the kinds of things, and by the way, that program, I've said it in here before, is eligible for all defense communities. So Edwards, and perhaps Cal City, Mojave even, there are ways that you may be eligible for it, both the federal program and the state program. One other good news on the waterfront. Well, it sounds like it's good news, but it may not be news at all. DWP has released 9,000 acre feet of water in our valley from the aqueduct that they can't handle. 9,000 acre feet. Our shortfall, our usage, that's about a third to a half of our usage for the valley. But the unique hydrology of our valley, the last time they did something like that, it didn't soak in. But we didn't have a complete well-measuring monitoring system. We've got something close to that now. We've got that established to see if this really makes a difference in the aquifer and we get any benefit from that. This will be a fortuitous thing, but wow, it would be wonderful if in fact that was coming in. You know, and every time we have a wet season, actually LADWP has released in the past, 2019 for example, this state has a problem with water distribution. We don't have a water shortage. We have a glut, and we have a storage problem, and we have a connection problem around the state. We're wasting all this water. It's either sent out to sea or plugged in the ground in the desert where it doesn't soak in. And so that's the kind of thing we're working on, and we're really working on it within the China Lake Alliance and the California Defense Communities Alliance. We've got the Parade of 1,000 Flags coming up. We are the only community in the country that has had a continuous parade honoring the 9/11 first responders and the fallen in that event. We have over 1,000 flags are carried up in a parade, our China Lake Boulevard, and marched into Freedom Park and planted in the park and remain there for a week. And then are taken down. We have a candlelight vigil on 9/11, but the parade each year is on the Saturday preceding 9/11. The speaker, Admiral Hash, who's the base mission command admiral, will be the keynote speaker, and well, he really will be the Grand Marshal and speaker. The keynote is it's guaranteed to be Speaker McCarthy. And we have commitments from all of our elected officials: Shannon Grove, Vince Fong, Donnie Youngblood, Sheriff Cynthia Zimmer, the DA, Philip Peters, to speak up, and we expect that to be an all-star event. It is really a lot of fun. It's not as hot as you would think, and on the 9th of, in this case, September. But if you have an opportunity to see that, it's amazing. The only one of the negatives we have right now is our Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, because of a combination of all the state restrictions that were put on during COVID and their increasing regulation. The rural hospitals are all financially strapped, and Ridgecrest Hospital in particular. So we've got all our legislators lined up supporting this. I want to shout out a couple of them I've heard here today. Shana Grove really went to bat for us at the state level and got a $3 million grant to help them. You know, we have a lot of issues surrounding that, and we're working on 3 different grant opportunities and waivers for certain requirements at the state level and the federal level heavily. So the entire community is lined up. Every sector of the community is supporting keeping that hospital running and keeping it a regional facility that handles all the way up to Bishop and above. It's critical to the community. It's critical to the base. Everybody you may not be aware, DOD downsized their medical. They combined. There's no longer Navy medical and Air Force medical, Army medical. There's no Navy hospitals anymore. It is Defense Health Agency. There's a branch clinic on the base that is tiny. It can't serve the base employees by themselves, so they depend on the medical out in town for almost anything. They have one pharmacist, and he stands duty occasionally as a gate guard for the auxiliary security force, and nobody can get prescriptions. So it's a dire situation. We're working on that one too.
Dave, I heard that they haven't had a raise since 1995 for the wage rates at the hospital.
I can't confirm that.
They were pegging it to 95.
Yeah.
That's how the disparity.
We think we've got the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation Coordination in the Department of Defense lined up to take that on as a piece of the military installation resilience and grant funding to help them in order to help the base. And that is a sea change in the way Department of Defense operates. And if that comes through, I'll report on that, because there could be applicability to Edwards. Okay, with regards to China Lake, the earthquake recovery is still running on, largely on schedule. A couple delays, the supply chain eventually catching up with us. We've got 2 groundbreakings coming up, ribbon cuttings coming up in August. The major runway, they're changing major runways out there. The east-west runway is being lengthened by quite a bit. The groundbreaking is in August for that, and that's a big deal. And the South Airfield has about $1 billion worth of new hangars and labs being built around it, and they'll be the next to come up. We also have on the common areas on the base, the new training center is going to have a ribbon cutting also the same month in August. So we have about 1,400 construction folks in the temporary labor camp that has been established. That's going to be about the average for another year, and it's going to trickle off a little bit, but it's going to be over 1,000 all the way through 2025. And that's when most of the rest of the ribbon cuttings will be held. So that's when we're going to lose the economic boom from having all the construction folks. And there's another third of the construction folks that aren't resident in that camp that are resident elsewhere in the community and other domiciles. So that's a big loss. We've been planning economically on how to handle that, and it's been going very smooth so far. National Defense Act passed in the House. National Defense Authorization Act passed in the House this week. You'll see a press release coming out later today from Congressman McCarthy about some one specifically for China Lake, but I think he's got some for Edwards too. In that were a Rapid Capabilities Office that will be at China Lake to leverage or to get more things more quickly directly into the fleet. That's the history of China Lake. That's what we used to do. That's a duplication of a program that happened during the Vietnam War, where we had direct connection to the fleet. We provided them solutions, new technology solutions, way quicker than the normal acquisition process, and that has been sort of reestablished. At least we got it through the House. For Edwards and China Lake, there is an innovation hub, an Eastern Sierra Innovation Hub. It's going to help commercialization of military technology. It would be an off-base office that fostered things like companies that might be based in the current airport or Mojave or whatever that would do a majority of their development that they could safely do outside the gate and the security issues. And when they needed to use the highly instrumented capabilities, let's say a UAV manufacturer with specialty applications, they want to have fully instrumented capability. They're able to go on either base and do their testing there, and then for the duration of that needed test, and they bring it off. But this is a huge potential for a commercialization of military technologies and patents that's been untapped in our region. Others have had it. Got direct hire authority extended for the labs out to 2025, and I already talked about the Cal DCIP. So my apologies for a lengthy stand-in.
Just three people. So
That's
thank
it.
you. Thank you. Great thing. Any questions? Okay, well, Mojave. So we have Heather. We also have Strato from Mojave. Strato Lunch. I think Tim Reed's traveling. So Heather, any updates from the chamber?
We're holding our community meeting on July 27th at noon at the Veterans Hall. Either Senator Grove or a representative from her office will be there, present at 11 to take community concerns. Assemblyman Lackey or a representative from his office will be present at the meeting to discuss a bill, proposed legislation to protect Joshua trees, which are unfortunately, under siege by specifically the solar companies. And they say they don't clear cut, but they kind of clear cut. We're still struggling with the loss of our bank and our merchants and our seniors are struggling with that. The local State of Brothers is stepping in to provide as much help as they can, but it's a problem. And then we have, housing issues. We have desperate need of new houses. I don't think we've had a new house built since in 30 years in Mojave. It's been a really long time. So we have high-tech jobs, but we don't have any place for these people to live in the area. So I guess that's good for Tehachapi and good for Rosamond. And as far as commercial development, we have a lot of vacant buildings, and some of them are pretty good shape. Unfortunately, we have absentee landlords, so that some of them are really bad landlords, and we're having code compliance issues with them. And unfortunately, as you all know, a vacant building deteriorates really rapidly. So on the plus side, I'll step on Strata Launch a little bit. At the airport, the main runway improvement is proceeding, and apparently we have a new company that is testing hydrogen fuel moving in.
Oh, Universal Hydrogen. Yeah, they announced they're moving their flight test center from Washington State to Mojave. I think it's the largest hydrogen-powered commercial.
Well, that will be a major climate adjustment for them, unless they're from eastern Washington, in which case they'll probably survive. But that's all I have.
Speaking of large, the wingspan of your plane is what, 385 feet?
That's correct.
Wow. So, Justin, let's have a lot of news at Strato acquisitions and
Yeah, so again, I oversee the talent acquisition for Strata Launch, and one of the big reasons why I'm involved with groups like this is, and not just like economic development, but also just talent industry exchanges as well, Ekedc, looking to bring more people to the area. There's plenty of aerospace companies out here. We're all struggling to find new people. And as you mentioned, Mojave, we haven't built new homes in 30 years, and like, what can we do not only as a company, we're growing, we just acquired a new 747, which means we're adding another 40 to 50 jobs to our smaller company as it is sometime in the next several months. But just looking for ways to work with the communities, get implanted with the local community colleges and even high schools to start building more program curriculums within their schools and manufacturing programs, and giving students a reason to stay in the areas too. Not necessarily bringing talent in from the outside, but also building our own local communities and finding ways to get students engaged and realize that there is a great future for them, especially in engineering, manufacturing, just within the communities that we have. And as you mentioned, yes, a big part of the Mojave update is the airport runway being nearing completed, which means we can start flying again, which is something that helps bring interest to the communities. So Lancaster, Palmdale, even as far as Santa Clarita, that's pretty much the main locations that our employees are stationed out of.
Yeah, and Strata Launch, they've been a great partner there. They were at the East Kern Career Expo as well as the one in Bakersfield, the Kern County. Also, we had kids from robotics engineering program in Bakersfield at the CTech or Tech Ed Center come to Mojave for the day. I know the spaceport welcomed them, and we need kids on both sides, right, east and west, and understand opportunities throughout the county. So thanks for all your Strata Launch is doing and welcoming.
Well, especially for us, we see how much resources are being pumped into, for example, Antelope Valley College. You walk into their manufacturing centers, everything is nicer than anything that we have, but there's just loaded with stickers from Lockheed, Northrop, Boeing, NASA, and for us, we're not a big player. But where we see a lot of opportunities is Bakersfield College, Siracosa. And so we realized, hey, that's a little bit further out of the reach of some of those Lancaster, Palmdale big aerospace companies. So we see a lot of opportunities for companies like ourselves, as well as other tenants at the Mojave Air and Spaceport, to really start getting involved with those schools a lot closer than some of the other bigger companies would be. When we're out at Bakersfield College, you talk to the students there, they don't really realize much exists back, like once you pass the Hatchby. I think a lot of the students we talk to, they think, oh, it's going to be oil or agriculture. And just less than an hour over the hill, there's an entire world of aerospace that they have access to. But I just don't think that our industry has done a good enough job implanting ourselves there.
Yeah, I don't think when you ask people how far Mojave is, they say from Bakersfield. Some people say 2 hours, even adults say 2 hours, an hour and a half. I mean, this is the thing that it's especially going across town at Bakersfield, sometimes it takes it takes 30 to 40 minutes.
This issue is one that the B3K Aerospace Cluster Initiative.
You do a lot of work with B3K.
So you're working with part of them on that. Yeah, excellent. We're hoping that's going to be a big help in that area.
Yeah, so this alliance, B3K and Ekedc, I think, are the three that we're most closely tied to at this time.
Absolutely.
Great, well, thank you. Next meeting, again, we will be in Mojave, so hopefully, I know Tim's traveling, Tim Reed's this
Tim's
week,
traveling,
so.
Kate's out right now, but we should have a full crew next time.
So I introduced him to Luigi's in Bakersfield, so we got both amazing food on both sides of the county. So Cal City, Karen, you have.
Oh, where do I start?
Well,
First of all, I have a question for Corey. What's your TOT rate? Do you know?
9. It's low. It's super low.
Not compared to us.
It's in the 9%.
Thank you.
What was the question, Karen?
What was the TOT rate in Tehachapi? Because I think we're at 6, right? 6 1/4?
I think 6 1/4.
Yeah, so, first of all, I want to say really thank you to this meeting, because this courthouse thing, I learned about here in this meeting. And as a council member, I brought it up. And I asked our police chief, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And they said, we didn't know anything about it. But our police chief mobilized, and he talked to Ridgecrest, and he talked to Tehachapi, and I am so proud that I'm sitting here and can see the change in our community from what I learned. So the rest of my report is that I am sitting here as a council person, talking to people every day on the ground, and I'm realizing what an enormous disconnect we have in knowledge and awareness. So I'm not going to tell you what we're doing, but I think you're all going to be hearing from me because I have so many questions about how do we combine these conversations to really make a difference. I see unlimited potential, but I see a lot of work ahead of us. So I thank you first for telling me about the courthouse, for showing me what we can do together, and I hope we can do a lot more together. And beside that, Cal City's still being Cal City, but maybe we're starting to listen more.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, so why don't we go to David? I would love for you to give an update.
For the larger group, Plant 42 is in a neighboring county, but the aerospace industry doesn't honor county lines, right? So with initiatives like B3K out of Kern and agencies like this, if we're going to grow and sustain aerospace through the Aerospace Valley, we've got to be able to partner and work together on common initiatives. Initiatives like housing, quality schools, availability to recreational resources that suit the market. These things really have to be done so we can grow and retain talent. We historically have trouble bringing people in from the South Bay and keeping them in the Aerospace Valley. But when we grow them here, like you mentioned, at Siracosa, at CSU Bakersfield, wherever, Antelope Valley College, we tend to keep them. So a visitor from down south, but a participant in this community drive. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's go around the table. Rex, we've got an update on, I know, where our foundation's.
I had a 5-minute speech.
Okay, well.
Designed and it worked in 15 minutes. So what I thought I would do is a public service. I noticed a lot of handouts, so I'm going to pass around envelopes so you can put all the handouts in.
Okay.
So this is a public service effort on behalf of the Flight Test Museum Foundation. Besides having an envelope where you put all the handouts in, well, I would like for you to, the reason I want to do this is as I'm stuffing the envelope, I told my wife that only 10% of the people would even open the envelope. And I said, that's okay because those 10% are the doers and they're going to look at it. And I said, out of 10%, probably only 10% of them will read it. So, because I've been doing this for about 50 years, that's been my habit of all the handouts I've had at all the meetings. So you now have an envelope to put all the handouts. What I wanted to let you know was what I'm all about is the Flight Test Museum. The Flight Test Museum is trying to move it outside the gates. When we get that Flight Test Museum built, it's going to have two major economic impacts to our region. One, it's going to bring literally hundreds of thousands of visitors. If you go online and look at the top 10 aviation museums in the entire world, the number one is Smithsonian, number two is Wright-Patterson, there's a major one in Britain, and then a few scattered throughout the United States that nobody knows about. But when the Flight Test Museum in Edwards is moved outside the West Gate, we're literally going to have tens of thousands of visitors to our county every year. Now that's visitors. The thing I want you to know about, because you said we have a need for talent, what our Flight Test Museum is doing is trying to stimulate our young people, our kindergartners, first graders, second graders, up through 6th grade, all the way through the 12th grade in STEM. The Flight Test Museum, we have over 80 aircraft. When we open this up, we will probably have the third largest collection of aircraft of any aviation museum in the world. We have 80 aircraft scattered, and every one of these 80 aircraft are connected with flight tests. They're historical aircraft. They're one of a kind. They're the very first prototype. They have tremendous history. They were very innovative in a lot of things. So what the Flight Test Museum is going to be doing is we're going to have literally scores and scores of busloads of school kids, 5 days a week, at the Flight Test Museum, going through our STEM classrooms. We have going to have very exotic STEM classrooms where they can get hands-on. They're going to go smell these airplanes, sit in them, touch them, feel them, and get all kinds of historic information. So it's exciting, it's important, and what I'm here for today is we're trying to raise money. And the reason way we're going to raise money is, unfortunately, a couple years ago something happened. It's called inflation. We had enough money to put the steel walls and roofing on our structure. And the reason I wanted you to take this out is if you look in there, you'll see a steel frame structure. By the way, there's a lot of information in this here. It's a very short pamphlet. You'll see a steel frame structure. Well, we had the money to put the metal siding on it, the metal roofing on it, and pay for the $350,000 hangar door that goes on the south side of it. Believe it or not, in 2 years, the inflation eroded $1 million when we wrote this pamphlet. When I got ready to do the campaign a couple months ago, we got a new estimate for that construction to put the metal to the, I call it metal to the pedal, metal on the building. It was $1.2 million. So inflation's our enemy, but that museum is going to be a godsend to our community. This is a rendition of it. Now, that's the end of my spiel. Somebody mentioned about the VIP tour. I'm responsible for VIP tours. I've been involved. I know most of the people. It was amazing. I came up to Tehachapi in '89 as the operation manager for Southern California Edison Company. So then I look around at Southern California Edison, Southern California Edison. Well, wait a minute, I'm touched. And I went to work with Drew with Senator Knight back in 2000. And then I thought, wait a minute, Steve Perez, I was district director for Steve Perez, not district field rep for Steve Perez when he was county supervisor. Hey, we're going to honor him as he retires. And I think I know it's a small world. And we can do something good. Now, when I said what I'm here for is, I'm trying to get 1,200 life friends of the Flight Test Museum. There's a lot of perks to be a life friend. A life friend is $1,000. It'll be paid over 3 years. Trying to get every business in the region. You know, that's more than 1,200 businesses in the area, right? We're talking about within 50 to 75 mile radius of Edwards, which includes Victor Valley, Barstow, Bakersfield, Santa Clarita, where I was a district planning manager for 9 years. In Antelope Valley, where I was also a manager. By the way, in wind turbines and cogeneration, I was sent to Tehachapi in 1989 because we were having troubles with those brand new gigantic wind turbines. I think the blades were 10 feet long or something, but interfacing with the Edison system. We were also having a lot of problems with reliable service in the Tehachapi Mountains, but that was a great challenge, and it was very rewarding. Anyway, small world. We want to make it even, but we're going to make it bigger by having this world-class Flight Test Museum with your help. So please consider looking at it, having your company or an individual become a friend of the Flight Test Museum. Again, if you'd like to have a VIP tour, it's a 5-hour tour. So far, the boat has its sunk. At the end of the 5 hours, we're able to get you back to your car. But it's a very exclusive, very in-depth things at Edwards that most people don't get to see. And I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. I'm only going to do it probably 6 more tours because it's tiring. I only do 15 people at a time, 2 to 3 times a month, and probably another 2-3 months. So if you're interested, let me know before you leave today. Give me your card, write it. I want to go on a tour. I'll try to schedule in the next couple months. Or do it some other time, or call the base and tell them you want to see the tour. But it's pretty hard to get on the base. It's pretty restricted. So I'm a retired Army working for the Air Force Museum. So I appreciate your listening for me. I already took too long. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Rex will come to your office and bring you the commitment form, which our KDS, Current Economic Development Foundation, where we host the STEM Expo, co-host, we committed $25,000 over 5 years. So we're really excited about that.
Good.
You can't believe how much that vote made me, folks, when they made that announcement with that additional 25 grand. And I said, you know, for the $1.2 million, that means an awful lot. That's 5% of what I needed. So let's go for the other $1.2 million, the rest of it. Thank you very much for you guys making that commitment, and I think it's going to be well worth it.
Thank you. Okay, so Hydro Store, any updates on that project since we're almost in?
I could direct that to somebody else. So I don't have an update on Hydro Store. All I can do is reiterate what Kurt Hildegren said in Bakersfield, California, that they are still committed to working in Kern County and they're still dedicated to the project. But for True North Renewable
Oh, right.
Energy,
So Common Sense Consulting, they represent various energy projects, especially several in East Kern. Russell Johnson, too. Is the president of Common Sense?
yeah.
Your boss?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, we have an update on True North Renewable Energy, which is somebody we represent. Last month, they were approved by the Kern County Board of Supervisors for their project in Mojave. And so they were approved 117 acres on the southeast corner, Silver Queens Road and United Street. So what they do basically is they take organic material and they process that into renewable energy. But I have like a little information flyer I can pass out, and if you guys have any further questions, I'd be happy to give you a business card and direct you to Russell or to a representative from TNR.
Thank you. And I know they presented at the, Kurt presented at the last East Kern Economic meeting, and then both companies are presented at the Energy Summit, so that's glad to hear. How many jobs does the True North, I know, in terms of capital investment and job total?
Right, so it's going to supply around 25 to 30 permits.
Okay. Thank you. Great, thanks. Michael, you came from Bakersfield with Madeline Toilet. Anything you'd like to add?
No. Thanks for having me.
Okay, great.
It was very educational.
If you see the silver Pegasus in Bakersfield, you're 99. That's Madeline Toilet. Mary Madeline's an amazing community leader, and I think that's the best performing in the country, right? That office, that store, correct?
Yeah, for the market.
Okay, great. Doug, you came from Simi Valley, correct? So would you like to add? Well, we're not. We're in Rosamond's your second home? Okay. Anything you'd like to add? Any new programs anybody should know about?
The only thing I would like to add is that coming to our fiscal year end, on the 30th, we're funded by the National Institute of Technology. The Fed and their budget on it today. We have all sorts of money left over for training. So if anybody has any type of training needs,
Thank you. Alyssa, would you like to, I know this is your first meeting with Cal, you're with CalSTAR, correct?
I used to run innovation group in Kern County and from the Alabama originally. Some flyers, I don't have all of them for our programs, but at CalSTAR we manage incentive programs for the state of California. Some of them are through the California Energy Commission. I have some in English and Spanish. This is for commercial, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles. We have a lane launching next week, which is going to have about $25 to $36 million available. It's for disadvantaged and low-income communities, as well as small businesses, minority women-owned businesses, and other affected categories. If you're interested, I have some flyers here. A bit later in the month, we're going to be launching set-asides for transit and for drayage. Drayage trucks are the ones that go in and out of ports. We also have school bus funding set aside. Some flyers for both schools here. Also, if you're putting in charging for passenger vehicles, I have some flyers for that. These are level 2 charging. It elevates there's elevated scoring for community connections, which include schools, parks, cities, nonprofits, a number of other categories, churches. So if you're interested in any of that, If you're also purchasing EV vehicles or hydrogen vehicles, there's other programs that I can connect you to. We also just launched a new technical assistance program for small fleets called Cal Fleet Advisor, which is to help any fleet that needs to transition to renewable or zero emission vehicles, to help with that transition with vehicles and infrastructure. So I'm here local in Lancaster, not that far away from here. I have some cards here as well. Justin Powers invited me.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I saw, oh, Kim, come on down. Thank you for hosting us.
No problem.
Nice.
Nice to meet you. Hello, everybody. Supposed to talk about what we're doing and what we're. We just completed our water reclamation facility. It's going to be done probably in a month and a half. It's going to provide for the water supply, the groundwater supply, through our wastewater treatment and disposal. It's actually going to replenish groundwater, and we get credit with the AV Water Master. So it's about 40% of our supply, which is, if you think about it, we're kind of leading edge in recycling when it comes to water. And I'm about 6 months on the job, so that's the biggest accomplishment. It all happened before I got here. So we're working on a lot of trying to stay ahead of businesses and developments that are interested in moving to Rosamond or coming to Rosamond, and trying to stay ahead in terms of water supply and water acquisition, because we are an adjudicated basin here. And so that's been the challenge, and that's one of the board members' focus, is to make sure that we're ahead of that wave of business that is coming. Can't think of anything else.
That's okay, John. We had a couple of Rosamond updates, but I want to make sure that
you reiterated kind of what we had already said.
Oh, great.
we wanted to meet you. Anyway, thank you.
Okay.
Look forward to working with
Thank
you.
you, everybody. Thank you for having us.
So actually, Brianna with Berkshire Hathaway, BHE, any updates?
So, as Richard said, Brianna Harding, BHE Renewables. I don't really have any business development updates for our area right now. One of the most recent developments we've had is $500 million investment with Kraft Heinz on a battery, solar and battery storage facility in West Virginia. Another big player for us right now is down at our Imperial Valley geothermal plant. We're looking to increase capacity there, and also basically beginning technology and finding the science behind the lithium development out of the brine that we have there. So if you're not familiar with BHE Renewables, we've been in this area since 2015 when our Solar Star project came online. And so, we've been in the community for quite a while, in Rosamond and Mojave, but I'm fairly new in my position, and so just kind of hitting the ground running here and trying to reestablish ourselves and see where the needs are, and see how we can meet them. So I also have business cards if anybody would like to connect and let me know what the needs are, then I'm happy to do so. Great to meet you all.
We do have a new program for battery manufacturers that's of interest to you. I think we're doing
Great. Well, energy. So speaking of energy, we have Cal Rossi and Jay Lacey. I'm sure you have a couple updates. So.
Again, Cal Rossi with Southern California Edison. Thank you, Richard. There's been really two things that have occupied my time. As you know, it's hot, and we're in wildfire season again. We actually had our first public safety power shutoff event in LA County with a very small number of customers. We have all lived through the wildfire mitigation plan implementation over the last few years. As you recall, We had several PSPS events in the Tehachapi's, Bear Valley Springs, Stallion, also up at Pine Mountain and in the Kerner Valley, which are the three primary areas that are high fire risk for Southern California. Because of the investments we've made in grid hardening and our situational awareness with our vegetation management, last year we had 0 PSPS events in Kern County. I'm hoping that holds. I want to keep Council Member Wiggins happy. I don't fear you. Susan Wiggins, that's so
we'll tell her to call you.
See, that's right. So knock on wood, I truly think we have turned the corner. I think the folks in the Tehachapi area will tell you, 2 summers ago, we had numerous planned outages to harden the grid and put our covered conductor in. That bore fruit. We got into wildfire season last year, and we'll see how we go this year. I'm not committing to 0, but it's going to be less. The other issue that's dominating our time is Pathway 2045, which is the moving away from fossil fuels and reducing greenhouse gas reductions. That's transportation electrification, building electrification, and the like. That is creating a series of challenges for us, particularly in eastern Kern County, on the capacity side. When you take the growth in local economies, Cal City's been a hot spot for us, combined with electrification, that's created capacity challenges in the rural regions of the state. In fact, the County of Kern wrote a letter expressing concern about our ability to serve customers from a capacity perspective. I think that letter was, although I would have liked it to have hearts on it, I think it really, did a favor for us because the California Public Utilities Commission was copied on that letter. And so now the commission has a sense of urgency when it comes to licensing, permitting, and constructing projects out here. Cal City, I think, has been the center of this, as well as Pacific Steel was the other business that was highlighted in the county letter. But Cal City, I think, has made some great strides out there. We have had some short-term projects to move load around, just to try to keep up or not lose any more ground. But I think that battery storage, we just had a bid walk on that in Cal City, so that'll help give us some more flexibility on the distribution side. But really the major project is our Cal City 115 kV substation project, and that's going to be 2 115 lines. It'll connect, I think it's Holgate to Edwards and to Cal City, and then up to 395. And so it'll give us some redundancy.
When you say 115, you mean 115,000 volts?
115 kV. And so, I think that there's some good news on there, although many of you are familiar with the licensing process, understand it's a lengthy, it's like watching paint dry. But we did file our permit to construct with the California Public Utilities Commission on March 14th. Within less than 30 days, that application was deemed complete. And that is truly unheard of. We've had projects be deemed complete take up to 3 years. Also, the California Public Utilities Commission did do a job walk on that, and we're feeling projects moving forward. We will be coming to you and asking for some support when the time's right. But I say all that to pitch it over to Jay, because in response to the Kern County letter, I know Jay and his group have been doing a series of events in grid impacted areas, and we are in the works of planning one in Kern County, and it may be premature. We don't have a date or a location yet, but Jay, if you want to maybe give a little background on the purpose of those pieces.
Sure.
And, I'll pitch off to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Again, my name is Jay Lacey. I'm with the Economic Development Services team within Southern California Edison. And this conversation of the growth that we're experiencing in our service territory began with Cal City. So what we've done throughout our entire service territory is have some of these town halls or roundtables to discuss how to engage with Edison, what the process is, how we deem what a project is, and in terms of the confidence level, where it's low confidence to medium or even high confidence level. That way we can go ahead and make sure that we have enough material. As you know, a lot of our businesses have been impacted by supply chain, and so we want to make sure that we're engaging with our customers and our business partners to make sure that their projects go on without a hitch. The next one that we're having right now would be in conjunction with Ekedc for the Palmdale, Lancaster communities, basically expressing that. The bottom line is get in touch with us, Edison, ASAP. If you think your project is about 50% going to happen or whatnot, let us know. That way we can forecast to our T&D, which are transmission and distribution partners. That way they can forecast materials. As you know, materials, it takes about a 12-month lead time on some materials to get in stock. So we want to make sure that we have that on site. That way, if a customer says, hey, we want to be up and running in 8 months, we're able to hopefully accommodate some of those issues. The other thing is we want to make sure you have enough power. So if you have a property or a site, we want to make sure that there's enough power there. And if not, what we can do to go ahead and make sure that we can get that in a timely manner. So again, August 17th, if you want to register for that, you go to se.com/classes. You can go ahead and register for that in Palmdale. Again, we are going to be working to get something for Kern County, especially in the eastern Kern County area, to speak specifically to what Cal was speaking about with the letter, and also with the growth plans that we have here.
And I know you've reached out to us with a lot of
yes.
I'm talking to Melinda in any way that we can, obviously about the clients, how we all have a seat at the table. And we have, again, a record number of projects that are looking at these, especially manufacturing. So now they've identified the site or sites they want, to come to, and now we're almost there, right? It's that last mile. And I will say, look at site selection factors nationwide. Energy availability is actually tied for number one. Obviously, labor, quality of the workforce has typically been number one, but energy availability, they separated from cost, so costs are an issue too, but this is national. Obviously, we're dealing with it every day, but it seems to be a national issue now. So yeah, any way that we can help them to, work with you to coordinate that meeting. I think it's really time is of the essence of the project we're talking about.
Absolutely. We appreciate your support. Thank you. Thank you.
What was that?
That's alarm.
Yeah, so I'm with AES, as I mentioned. We develop renewable energy, and we've been part of the group for many years as well. I think we have about 25 solar and battery storage facilities here in Antelope Valley and Kern County. And just a couple of updates for us. We do have a couple of projects that we have under construction in the area. We actually have one down the street here. It wasn't off Avenue A between 80th and 90th. It's our Raceway Solar and Storage project. It's been under construction for the past year, and wrapping up construction by the end of the year, so we're looking forward to that. And then our other big news is we just recently kicked off construction of our Bellfield Solar and Storage project, which is just east of Mojave, about 2/3 in the county and a third in California City. It's a very large project, 2 gigawatts, and we did a kickoff, which we really enjoyed, as well with the supervisor. And so the project, when completed in 2026, it's 2 phases. We'll be able to power over 467,000 homes. And so there'll be a lot of construction there, hoping to have probably up to 1,000 people working on the site. Happy to continue to be part of the community support and economic development here. Also, I know Heather, you brought the Joshua Tree. Again, we're doing what we can to adhere to all requirements, mitigation measures. Our company has done work to conserve the Joshua Tree as well as voluntarily relocate trees for some of our projects. So very important to us as we go through that. So looking forward to working on it and continue to connect with everyone. Thank you.
And that's that Bellfield project's the largest permitted solar plus storage in the country, right, Bart?
Yeah. So we're proud to have it be home here in Kern County.
great person to be there those days. So, Kaylin, Anna Kappa.
Yeah, I'd like to make a quick introduction. My name is Kaylin Ransom. I work for Anna Kappa Engineering. We're a multidisciplinary engineering company based out of Bakersfield. So we have professional civil, structural, mechanical, and electrical engineers on staff. Our team members have a robust history of experience working in Kern County, specifically on the west side. So historically, we've supported upstream and midstream oil and gas operations. About 6 years ago, we strategically pivoted our business where we basically had the goal to bring renewable energy into the oil field to try to decrease the carbon intensity of those operations. And since then, we just continued to grow our renewable energy portfolio. So we're currently working on renewable natural gas, biogas, biodiesel, some solar, hydrogen for sure, and carbon capture and sequestration projects. So that kind of makes up one leg of our business, which is the energy engineering piece. And then we also support heavy industrial manufacturing facilities, as well as public works and commercial buildings. So I'm really here today just to make the introduction. We've done less business than we would prefer in Eastern Kern, and so hope to see y'all a lot more often and get some projects going.
Great, thanks for coming. Ashley, WM, right, formerly doing business as Waste Management.
Yes, so I'm Ashley Cortez. I work for WM. I oversee Ridgecrest, Cal City, all the unincorporated East Kern, down to the Antelope Valley, Tehachapi, all the areas. So anything you ever need, feel free to contact me. There's a lot going on in our world, of course, so we continue to work with cities and counties on implementing SB 1383 requirements of sorting out the food waste and adding that organics container to residential. We've done a really good job of getting to almost full compliance in all our cities, and I think almost in all of the county for commercial. So having organics at all the commercial properties, we're pretty much at full compliance there. We wrapped up our state visit, so Cal Recycle came out to the cities and the county, and we went around to all the cities and just kind of gave them the lay of the land of what we're doing and with in conjunction with the cities on their recycling programs. So we wrapped that up and that was successful. So now it's just getting more of the residential piece within these cities. So we continue to work with the cities and counties on that. As far as other things going on, we have a lot of exciting things going on in Tehachapi. We revamped our facility out there, so if you happen to be driving by on the freeway, you'll see it's repainted, there's new landscaping, and so we continue to work to improve that facility, and we also, you'll see some construction going on as we incorporate a CNG fueling station for our trucks there. So there'll be a lot going on there. And then we're excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 60th anniversary of the Tehachapi Mountain Festival this year. So WM is the presenting sponsor, so we'll be very present there. We are doing the concert, like Corey said, in partnership with them, the Thunder on the lot, the car show. So there's a lot going on in August, and we're really excited and proud to be a part of that. And then I have one more thing as part of the Tehachapi Chamber. I'll be sending out something to Chambers of Commerce because Senator Grove is going to be doing a workshop for chambers on how to grow the chambers and what resources are available to assist with getting more participation and engagement with that. So look out for that. I believe it's in September, so I'll be sure to share information as that comes out. Oh, October. Sorry. Why did I think October 9th? Okay, thank you. So I was trying to pull it up. I don't have my work phone. My iPhone is not working, of course. So I didn't have my flyer, but thank you. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a really cool resource for all the chambers in East Kern.
So the legislation you talked about, what will happen? What will go in that container?
It'll be food waste and yard waste. So your food scraps, your yard waste.
If it stinks, throw it back in.
It's
So-
110 outside, but
Yeah, so, and it has to be, picked up weekly, so you'll see that coming everywhere. We've been working, I know you guys have maybe heard about all the Kern County stuff going on with that, so it is gonna come, it's just a matter of when, but we're just trying to make I'm always promoting it because it is gonna end up coming to you, and I just want you to be aware of what it is and what goes in there, so you're.
But with the True North plan, would that be playing into that?
Well, yeah, because depending, we could, the cities determine where we take the material, but they could be an option of where to take it to be processed.
Okay, thanks, man.
It was super exciting. Ashley and I got to drive around for 2 hours and look inside of Organics bins with the state.
Wow.
It was a good time. They were really excited when the bins were, this is a great Organics bins. You say so.
Hey, Dave Hallett, thank you, with Ron. Any updates on your company?
You know, no, I'm glad to be here. I've been on the board for the Ekedc for quite a few years now, and certainly heard about the East Kern and how robust it is over here, so I'm pleasantly surprised to see how robust it is. Some of our customers are here. AES has been a customer for years, and we do a fair amount of work in Smith, Martin Marietta, Tehachapi. We've done a lot of work there. So I'm getting over just kind of seeing what's going on. We've been in business, we do electrical work since 1945. Similar to Anacapa, we've been in the oil and gas industry. That's where we built our company. We're pivoting off that also for the last 6 years. We've been kind of doing the same thing. We do a fair amount of renewable. Probably build 200 megawatts of solar on different projects, rooftop and small ground mount stuff. And as a business developer for an electrical construction company, why wouldn't I be here? Right? You guys are booming. It's fun to see.
Thanks for coming. Oh, yes, Kelly, you got something to add?
I have a local note to add. A couple months ago, I was at the chamber meeting here in Rosemont. Thank you, Laura. Really, the issue that came up again was the same issue that came up 7 or 8 years ago. And John has mentioned this, I think, many times before, and that's no local bank here in Rosemont. And so I went back and I talked to a couple of lenders. One of them is interested in having a dialogue with the community again. So this really came out of the chamber meeting, and I know another one's coming up soon. So I'll leave the contact with Lorland, and what we'll do is we'll just see where it rolls. The thing they're going to be looking for is they're going to be looking for depositors, the larger depositors in town, to commit to that financial institution. And that's going to have to happen in order for another lender, and it's not going to be a full service branch. But really what we see, and we're starting to see in the banking industry with more consolidations coming, this problem's only going to get worse. So if you can get in front of something and get something locally where you get a bank here in Kern County, it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, where's the nearest bank? Like with Mojave, where's the nearest brick and mortar bank, right? Probably.
Tehachapi and actually Cal City has an
And Bank of the Sierra.
so they've got, Tehachapi has a lot of banks.
Altamont. Tehachapi has an Altamont.
Oh, yeah, we have Valley Store, and they have Bank of the West, Bank of the Sierras. They have several. The Mission Bank had a substantial depositor list, but they just kept saying that the building was too big.
8,000 square feet, right? Yeah.
Alpha One expressed an interest in doing bank in a box, coming in once a week. We've been trying to follow up with them on that. The man who bought the old Mission Bank was willing to host that or put a small office or part-time in that building, but we haven't been able to interest anybody just yet.
What about the former donut?
Well, wouldn't that be a charming little,
Yes.
However, what Laura Lynn will tell you is that there are a number of code
ADA,
compliance
right?
issues with that, so it would be possibly a lot larger investment that a company would be interested in making. I don't know. And I do want to say with energy companies, we are not ungrateful in Mojave. However, you give us grants for community projects, and there is, you do business in some of our businesses, but really what we residents see, we see a lot, we see our desert paved, and we see the skyline with windmills, and we don't really feel much. So it's it's hard for us. When we see the Joshua trees coming down. It's federal land, so it's different. But I watched the project that went in on the west side of the base, just past the Sierra Highway, and they scraped square miles, scraped it clean. There were piles of vegetation, including Joshua trees, several of them as big as this room. Just vegetation was piled and piled and piled. So it's we appreciate the mitigation efforts, but it's still there's a little bit of an emotional, but there goes our beautiful desert, and again we don't see much in the way of the economic benefit for that. I mean, so we don't hate you. we just feel a little lost.
Yes, any questions? Do you have comments?
It's my turn.
Over around the table, so you have the floor.
Yes, in regard to Mojave, I'm Hal Aaron from Bakersfield. I develop subdivisions, sell lots to builders. I'm not a builder, and I finance builders short-term construction loans to build houses, apartments, and small commercial buildings. The last contractors I financed in Mojave to build single-family residences was in 2008. And since then, I haven't found a contractor that's interested in going back and building anything in Mojave. Now, I don't know how many lots are available out there that have the utilities and the off-site infrastructure available to them. But if you think some of the people working at the spaceports there would actually live in Mojave, I might take another run at it to see if I could interest a contractor or two in going out there and building some houses.
Several of our employees do live in Mojave proper. I think it changes once you get to the point where they start having young families and those types of things. I think a lot of our employees, especially the ones with families, want to have access to or be closer to more education opportunities, medical facilities, those types of things, which might not be as prevalent locally in town. But I do know a lot of our employees do actually live within the Mojave limits. You might have more knowledge as far as the demand for new housing within Mojave.
We haven't had any. So that's just a conversation that has come up over and over and over again. Occasionally we'll get a company in that is interested in putting they have a nice plan for a large community of manufactured homes. And that's sort of exciting to see, and then it disappears. Apparently someone was interested last year in providing tiny homes, the whole development of tiny homes for temporary airport employees. And that seems to have dissipated into our wonderful evening suppers. So it's, I have known Mojave when it was a real nice community, but it's difficult right now.
Well, the tiny homes are fine for an individual, but not for a family.
Yeah.
Now, we're still busy in California cities, Tehachapi, Bear Valley, Stallion Springs, but no interest in Mojave.
Yeah. We've got, we do apparently have land available. Some of it has the infrastructure, but yeah, we've got a lot of interrelated problems. The lack of housing means lack of population, which means lack of consumer demand, which means lack of school funding, which means lack of people wanting to live, so there's lack of demand for housing, and it just goes round and round and round. So I have no idea how one solves that problem.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, go for it.
Change some cards. Great. Well, any other? Have a wonderful trip back. Yes, John.
Don't let us leave without giving you a kudo for your worldwide attention
Well,
and award.
Thank
And
you,
you went back to Washington D.C. for it.
Well, I had an opportunity to promote what Kern County is doing at the World Economic Forum with Accenture about in terms of the energy portfolio. Obviously, there's a proposed carbon management business park, carbon capture project, but energy in general, really telling the story about Kern County. I'm just happy to be able to be one of the ambassadors to brag about what we're doing.
I'm glad you did.
So thank you for the opportunity.
In China next week.
In Mojave, tentatively the second Thursday in the month, although that's our annual dinner, so stay tuned. I'll be reaching out to you to make sure if we do move it a week that